is Michelle with Creative Operation. I'm here today to share with you a tutorial on how I made this traveler's notebook. I recently shared this project on my hashtag paperstashsmash video. I'll put a link down to that below on how I made it, and then I thought I would show you a couple other examples real quick, and then we'll make another one. So I already did this video. I used some leather that I got from Cricut. It was a Cricut 12 by 12 piece of leather that I went ahead and made this one. And again, I do have a full video on it, but it's adorable and I really like how it turned out. And then I was able to use the My Mind's Eye paper that I was trying to smash for the hashtag paper smash collab. Made some real simple notebooks and did some fun things. Well, I had some asks to please redo or to do a tutorial because I didn't do a full tutorial, I just did a share. So I made this one, and then I was going through all of my stuff to get things ready to do the tutorial. I found these two that I had made, and the die that I'm going to show you that I used did this one as well. This is made out of scrapbook paper that I ran through my laminator and created the cover with that. You need to do that with your scrapbook paper to run it through a laminator just to make it a little bit more durable for that. But this was a October afternoon paper collection that I had made one of the little notebooks with, and again turned out really cute. So just depending on the kinds of papers that you use, you know, you can really make a really fun little project. So then I also had this one, and this was more of kind of a distressed travel journal kind of thing that I had created, and again used the die for that as well. I'm going to show you that in a minute. And just, you know, you can decorate this and put all kinds of things in the little pockets and just have fun doing your thing. So anyway, I wanted to show those to you too. This one also has a laminated cover as well. And these two, I didn't put any like danglies on the elastics. I didn't put anything on the spines, nothing like that. And then you can see one of them is really full because I put a whole bunch of stuff into it, and then one of them is more on the skinny side. So, but it can hold quite a bit. So let me show you real quick the dies that I used for the leather version. So this one did the cover, and it also has the pen holder and then some little pockets and things that you can use around it. So I used this die, and then this is the companion die that came with it. Okay, so this one, I will have it listed below with the number if you want to order it, but it's one of the big dies. Okay, these are the Thinlits dies from Sizzix, and it has kind of the accessories to it. So in this one you have this one, which you can see I did use this one for the covers for the notebooks, and then you have like little mats here that you can use. There's pockets, there's little paper clips, little tabs, all kinds of different little things, and then the spine pieces. So this is used to attach two pieces made with this one to create covers for your notebooks. And so that's what I'm going to show you today, because that's how I did it with the leather journal. So I used this spine, I used this pocket piece right here, which creates that little cute slot pocket that I had in there. And then I used this to make the notebook covers. Okay, I didn't use any of the other things with it, but there's all kinds of cute little tabs and things that you can do. Okay, and then the other thing that I did use was this die. Again, I'll have the name and the model number down below, but I got this at my local scrapbook store, Cobblestone Creek Studios, and I used the die that creates the little folders. Okay, so yeah, this is what I used with the leather one I made. So I'm going to kind of recreate that one in a way. I have my stuff ready to go, and we'll go ahead and get started. I did already cut out my pieces. Now for this tutorial, I'm using Craftex, and this is a paper, but it's kind of like, it feels like fabric too. It's really durable, and it works really well for different things. You can sew it, you can glue it, you can, you know, cut it, do all the things. So I'm using Craftex. So when I cut these out, every time you cut the die, it has one cover, a pocket, a pen holder, and then a little piece that you can put through your elastic for the closure to kind of help protect your pages on the inside. So I actually have, you know, double of everything right now. Now, I did not use the leather pockets that ended up getting cut out on my first journal, but I might use these on the inside of these covers. So I'm going to just keep those off to the side. Then I have these two pieces. I did punch holes in this one because I'll show you what to do with that if you want to use that to protect your pages. And then you have two of these pen holders. And so I'll show you how to use one of those. So if you don't have this die and you want to kind of recreate this just by cutting your paper, if you put this together, once we glue this together, it's going to be one full piece. And I did measure that for you. So you could cut a piece of craft text, of leather, of your cardstock, whatever you want, at 9.5 by 6. You will have a 1-inch spine. So what you need to do is on the 9.5-inch side, score it at 4 1/4 and 5 1/4. And that'll give you that 1-inch spine, which you will see right here. Okay. When you cut these two out, what you do is you just put them over top of each other, and you can either sew them or you can glue them. I'm going to glue mine. And then the inserts for the notebooks, if you look at this particular die here, which I made the notebooks out of, they measure 3.5 by 5.5 for the notebook size. Okay. So all that being said, now that I have my paper, or my craft text, excuse me, cut out, now I don't have to laminate craft text because it is super durable, okay? I'm going to glue this together, and then I'm going to let it dry while I show you everything else. Now, I do want to show you one thing. So I took a couple of scraps of the craft text and I glued them together, and it's just like gluing paper. This is very sturdy. You do need to let it sit and make sure that it stays glued, but I also glued paper to it, and it is glued on very nicely. So just like gluing paper together, it just acts like that. But again, you can sew it, you can do all that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just take my glue, and I'm using art glitter glue, making a little bit of a mess there. But I'm using art glitter glue because this stuff really does glue everything very, very well. And I'm just going to go around. And I'm going to use quite a bit just because I want to make sure that I have a good stick. Okay. I'm going to glue that around, and then I'm going to just line up my holes here, making sure everything is straight, and then lining that up. Okay. Turn that so I can see it, make sure everything is good. Move that up just a little bit, and then I'm going to press that down. I'm going to burnish that down, wipe up any extra glue that's down, and then let me grab this. I'm just going to press that down, and then we are going to let that just dry before I do anything else to it, okay? Okay, so there's your cover. You will have 1 inch for the spine, okay? And there you go. So once you have this, there's 3 holes. That's where you thread your elastic through to create the pieces so you can put your notebooks in. And then this middle piece here, that's for the closure, okay? So that's the holes, and I have 3 holes, which will give us 4 elastics to put 4 notebooks in. All right, so I'm going to put that off to the side, let that dry, and then I'm going to show you the notebooks. Now, I did go ahead and make 3 notebooks already, but I'll make one with you on camera. So like I said, these notebooks, once you get them done, you have 2 pieces of paper, and then you have your spine piece here that joins them, okay? It's very, very simple to put these together, okay? If you have one large piece of paper and you just want to cut that particular thing out, then all you have to do is cut a piece that is 7 by 5.5, and then just fold it in half, and that could be your notebook cover. Now, I did not attach my journals into my notebook covers, and the reason why I didn't do that is because then if I use this notebook up, I can just take this out, make another one, and pop it in the cover, and then I still have my notebook. Okay, so I did not do that. I just made the notebook covers separate. And then I made these. Now, I did notice that I did not punch all of my corners. So I'm going to do that real quick. But I took 10 pages, or excuse me, I took 5 pages of copy paper, and I used my long arm stapler, and I just stapled them together, and then I trimmed them. Now, I do have a stack cutter, which made that a lot easier to do, but you can do it by hand as well. So I'm going to show you how to do that. But so those are the notebooks here. So there's one right there, and I have this one here and this one here. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, if you've been watching my channel, my planner was made with these papers from Recollections, and I had some leftover pieces. So I decided to make this a companion to my actual like big desk planner. So that's why I chose the papers that I did. But you know, obviously you can use any papers you want. Okay, so I've got my notebooks, and those are ready to go. Again, the insides are replaceable, which is really nice. So what you'll need to do is use the die to cut out a spine, and then you need 2 pieces of pattern paper for the covers of your notebooks, and then you're simply going to just glue them down. So I'm going to go ahead again and grab my glue, and I'm going to just put a little glue here, and there's a score line down the middle, and I'm just going to line that up and glue it down. That's all I'm going to do. It's really easy peasy. We're just connecting those 2 pieces. Now, if you, this is really good because if you have like scraps of paper that you're trying to use up, that's where that little spine comes in nice and handy. But you can make, you know, little spines yourself by just cutting a strip of paper and then just scoring down the center and popping those on there. Okay, so, you know, real easy to do. All right, so I'm just gonna put that down. Okay, and then you can go ahead and fold on that score line, and voila, you have your cover. Okay, so now I need one more notebook, so I thought I would show you how I did that. So again, I just took 5 pieces of copy paper, okay, and my long arm stapler. Let me get some of this stuff out of the way because it is a long arm. If you don't have one of these, you can do a pamphlet stitch. There's a couple, you know, there's many other ways you can do it. You don't even really necessarily need to connect those. You can just fold them and pop it under the elastic, and that'll make more sense once we bind the traveler's notebook. And then, you know, you're good to go. So, but what I ended up doing was I took a piece of copy paper, and it's 8.5 by 11. I cut it at 5.5. So now it is 8.5 by 5.5. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in my stapler, and I'm going to set it at like 4.25. I am going to trim it so it doesn't have to be too super exact, but you want the staples to actually be, you know, in the same spot on the spine, right? So I'm going to line this up so that the edge of my paper is right to kind of the edge of the base of my stapler, and then pop that down. And I'm only going to do 2 because this is a, you know, small notebook. If it was longer, then I would probably do 3. And I'm just going to staple those together. And then what I'm going to do is just fold this down. Now, since this notebook isn't that thick, it's just really easy peasy to do, okay? And just make sure your top edges are lined up nice, and then fold it in half, and then you're done, right? So then what I'm going to do is take my grid, and I'm going to grab my ruler and a craft knife. And if you don't have a cutter that will go through these 10 sheets of paper, then, or, you know, you can use a stack cutter to do that too, or you can just line this up and measure it and cut it yourself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold that because it looks like it's a little bit uneven, but that's okay. It's a notebook, right? It is my travel notebook, companion to my planner. And what I'm gonna do is just go over to 3.5 inches. All right, and I'm gonna line that up, and then I'm gonna use my craft knife of choice, and I'm just gonna cut that edge, and I'm gonna just hold it down. I'm gonna go through just a couple papers at a time. You don't have to go through the whole stack at the, you know, at once. Just go through careful, slowly until you'll feel it. You'll get through all of your pieces, okay? And then you have your little notebook ready to go, okay? And then that's where the corner chomper come in. So I use the 1/4 inch, and I'm just going to chomp all 4 corners like so. And then your notebook is done. And when you staple, the staples, the actual pointy parts you want on the inside of your notebook. So you want to staple on your spine, okay? Then you just pop it into your little notebook cover and you're good to go. So then what I wanted to show you real quick, still while everything's drying, is the little pockets that I made with the other die. So I've got those already cut out, ready to go, okay? And basically it already has the scores in there, so I'm just going to fold those and I'm going to pop these in my notebooks. So really easy to do. I'm just going to glue them down. So just like so, and then that'll give you a pocket here and then a little slot pocket there. So again, just glue. And you can do all kinds of things. You can make your own pockets. Just cut a strip of paper and glue it down. This is just such, a really cool project because it's so versatile, okay? So there's one. I guess it doesn't really matter how I do this, but I was going to kind of do them opposite just because I felt like it. You know, you can do whatever you want. You can not put pockets. Choice is yours. Choice is yours, okay? So I'm going to finish that part, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what I'm going to do next. All right, so I've got these done. Then the other thing in the previous video is that I had little folders that I did put on the insides of the notebook. So when you look at my leather travel notebook, those sat right in here on the inside. So I again used that other die that I showed you, and it cuts out like this. And again, really easy peasy because, you know, it already has the score line. So you just have to basically fold it and glue it down, right? Then there's little tabs, like it's all like so easy to put together. If you want to recreate this, so without the little tabs, okay? So this measures 4 3/4 by, without the tab, 5. And it's scored at 2.5. There's little tabs here to create the pocket. And the pocket itself, I never get my ruler right the first time, is 1 1/4 inches. So the total height of this is 3.5, okay? So 5, 3.5, and what did I say? This was 4 3/4, okay? So there you go. All right, just fold that up and then glue that. And I made 4 of those because I want 1 for each of the little notebooks. And again, these aren't attached to anything, so I can take those notebooks out and I can replace them as I use them up. Okay, so now each little notebook has its own little folder insert. And then I wanted to show you, I kind of got a little bit, I wanted to use the rest of my leftovers, and so I had some papers left over from making my planner that I ended up just using my tag punch here and creating little booklets. So what I did was I took pieces of paper that were think they were 5 by 5 when I started off. They were 5 by 5, scored them at 2.5, and then I put them in my, well, I'll do it upside down so you can see it, but I put it in my tag punch because they were 2.5 wide, and then that gave me that top piece. And so now I have little tag pieces, and these, my thoughts were, will go into the pockets in the notebook. So there is an idea there. You don't have to have a fancy punch, just take your paper, fold it, and create a tag edge. And I used some purple and some black seam binding, so I have those inserts ready to go. And let's see, what else was I playing with? I was also playing with a couple other ideas. This is going to be an idea tutorial too. Okay, so here was a piece of paper that I had left over. I added just a paper clip to keep it closed with some seam binding on it. And then what I ended up doing was, it's actually 2 pieces of paper that were, see, I did it again. I always do that. They were about 5 inches. And what I did was I took both pieces, so you can see this one, and I scored it at, what did I score this one at? 1 1/4 and 1 3/8, and then that created a little 1/8 inch gusset and a flap to go over. On this one here, it's hard to tell, but this one goes all the way to here. So again, it was 5 inches. I scored it at 1.5, and then I just glued that 1/2 inch piece to this piece and created a long piece. So then that also created a little pocket here. Okay, so then you can close it, the little flaps over there, and you can put the paper clip on. Now you're wondering how I'm going to bind it. Well, I can put it in the middle of one of the notebooks with the elastic here and then wrap that around, and then that can be kind of a little secret place to put things. I'll show you how to put that in the notebook here in a sec. Then I also, the planner accessories that I like are from Magic Witch Souvenirs, or I got the Brain Chaos planner. And it had some really cool little notes that were shaped, Halloween shaped. So I cut those out. I have those. And then I have these cute little note cards from her. I'll put a listing to her store down below that I just printed out on copy paper and then just made little note cards. So again, these can go into different pockets as well. I also decided that I was going to take some extra bits of the paper that I had left over and some extra pieces of copy paper and just make some really simple stapled notepads. So these can be inserts to go into my planner as well. So they're just made out of scraps, you guys. I'm going to throw these around. They're just made out of scraps. I cut them, I put them in the piece of paper, I folded the top edge over after I stapled, and then I've just put some score tape down on the top and glued it down. I mean, that was super easy. So I made a couple of those, and then I made some teeny tiny little notebooks. So I just stapled them. That's it. And made little teeny tiny books. So I have those inserts as well. And I think, oh, this is my last one. So this one, I got a really cool idea, and I wanted to share it with you. So I took a piece of the pattern paper, and it is 1.5 by 5.5. This pattern piece of paper right here, and I just scored it at 3/4, and I created like a little, just a hinge. That's all I did. Then I took and made a little notebook out of some more copy paper like this, and I stapled the edge. Before I did that, I ran it through a cutter that I have that I pulled out of my pile. I haven't used this in a very, very long time, but this is really cool because the cutter has different blades. It has a straight blade, it has a scoring blade, like a little wave, a decal, another kind of wave, or this is more a scallop, this is more of a wave, and then it has a perforator. So what I did with this one is before I stapled, I went through, it only took about a couple pages at a time to perforate it really nice, but it perforated the edge, and I did it about 1/2 inch. Okay. And then, so what the idea is that I'm going to take this, I'm going to glue that onto this side like that. I'm going to put this little strip just over the staples. Okay. So now I have 2 little strips that cover the inside of this notebook, but then I have perforated pages. I can tear them out. of this notebook. And if I need to, like, you know, write something down and give it to somebody, I have now perforated notes. Okay. So these are 5 pages. So again, what I did was I perforated them at 1/2 inch with this guy. And then I don't know if you have this in your stash. Another way to do it, let me find it, is, how many of you guys have this still in your stash? The little cutter bee bugs. I've had these forever. And again, I have like a scoring one and a cutting one. And I also have a perforated one. So you could use this as well. And I think, let's see, this one's the perforator. So all you would need to do with that is just use your ruler on the pages and then run this across, and then that'll perforate that as well. So a couple different ways you can do that. You don't even have to perforate them if you don't want to, but so that's what I did. And then I cut these at, I think it was 5/8 of an inch. Yeah, 5/8 of an inch. So it kind of covers the perforations a little bit, but it also covers the staples as well. And it's going to be pretty because you'll have a pretty little inside to your notebook. Okay. So, and then I just stapled them together with 2 little staples, and that's all you got to do. So I'm just going to run a little glue over that 1/2 inch piece. Okay. And I'm going to put this on the inside of that spine, and I'm going to make sure I'm not at the score line because I want this to, you know, fold nicely. Okay. And I don't want glue all the way to the edge because I don't want to cover the perforations, right? So those will work. And then I'm just going to grab some glue. Now you could use score tape too, but I'm just going to grab some glue, and I'm going to make sure I don't go into the perforations. Okay. And then just put this down right to the edge of that little piece of notebook. And then now I've got a little perforated page insert that I could put in my notebook as well. Okay, so that was an idea that I had, and I wanted to share that with you. I did not put any of these extra ideas in my other notebook. This was all while I was trying to get ready for this tutorial. I kept having ideas because I kept having papers left over. Okay, so there's that. Now let's grab our notebook cover. And this should be really good to go now. It appears to be glued really, really well, so I'm pretty happy with that. It's going to be a thick spine, so that's good. It's going to give a little stability. The next thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and string it. Excuse me, getting myself tongue-tied. So I'm using some cord here. I'm not happy with that piece. This is from Joann's. It's Heidi and Joe. And we can all have a moment of silence for Joann's. Unbelievable that they're going to be out of business after like all these years of being in business. I'm just going to take that off. Yikes, kind of crazy. But I got this a while ago, and it is kind of a thinner elastic. And I've, of course, tied it into a great big knot while I'm trying to show you. But anyway, so you need some elastic, and I'm not really measuring it because it's more by feel than anything else. But what we need to do is we need to thread this so we can add our notebooks. So you're going to start on the inside of your notebook. And what you're going to do is we're going to go through the top middle hole. Okay. And then you're going to go back through one of the other top holes. It doesn't matter which one. Okay. And then you're still on the inside of your book. You're going to thread it through the bottom, the same hole. Okay. So if you go first through the middle and you go to the left, then you want to go down through the left one again. Okay. Then take your thread and thread it up through that bottom middle hole. Okay. All right. Down through the top middle, up through the top left, down through the bottom left, and then up through the bottom middle. Okay. So the inside of your book looks like this. This is where your notebooks are going to go. Outside looks like this so far. Okay. So you just have 2 little stitches right there. Then you're going to go all the way up through the top middle hole again. Okay. here's my piece left over. Let's go ahead and just pull that through. Okay, so this is the end. Here's our piece here. So now we're at the top middle. We're going to go back through the top right now. Okay, so that kind of completes that stitch here. I'm going to need a little bit more length. So what I'm going to do is pull it a little bit more. Okay. There we go. Okay, so I pulled some more through and gave myself a little bit more length here. And then what I'm going to do is put it through the bottom. Okay, so now what I have is my end. I have 3 strings, and then through the bottom, I'm going to turn it over to show you, go back through the bottom middle hole again. Okay, so now I have 2 stitches on the outside, 2 stitches here, and then I have this through the bottom. Now these 2 are what's going to tie and complete that. So what you need to do is just kind of tighten this up a little bit, and it takes a little fiddling to do. You don't want it too tight, but you don't want it too loose either. You want the notebooks to be secure. Okay, so when you get it to where it's starting to kind of buckle your book, that's probably tight enough. Okay, and then with the bulk of the books and any inserts you want to add, you don't want to have it too tight, but you don't want to have it too loose either. So then you just are going to tie a knot. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this elastic, and then again, making sure that everything is nice and tight, but not too tight. Okay, and then, you know, the beauty of this is you can always restring it if you need to, so it's really easy. And just tie your knot. Do a square knot. Okay, and then I usually, just because I'm paranoid, I'll do one more and then call it good. Okay, and then you go ahead and trim your strings. Okay, and I probably wasted more than I probably needed to, but it's always better to have too much than too little as far as your binding goes. All right, so now because you tied those 2 ends, you actually have 4 notebook strings. Okay, all right, so there's your inside, there's your outside. Okay, then we need to do the closure. So again, you're going to do your notebook again, and what we're going to want to do is we need to make sure that this is going to go around, and it's got to be somewhat, you know, tight. You don't want it too loose. So I'm just kind of going by feel, but I'm wrapping that around. I'm making sure that, you know, it's going to go around, but it's not going to be too tight, but it's definitely not going to be too loose. There is some, you know, elastic action there. Okay, and then I marked it with my fingers, and I'm just going to tie a knot. And then before you get it too tight, what I like to do is just kind of double check it. Okay, and then tighten it. Okay, and then just cut that. Now you may need, depending on the width of your elastic, this is pretty thin elastic, so what I found was that I needed to tie another knot and just make it bigger so that it wouldn't pop through the hole. So I'm just going to add one more knot. Like so. Okay, and then from the inside I'm going to just loop that through, and then the knot will stay on the inside of your notebook. Okay, like so. And then that is what's going to wrap around and create your closure. Now you can add charms to that, and if you want to add charms, you either can use a jump ring now or thread them on before you make the knot. Okay, and then up here when I did add charms to my other notebook, let me show you. I did it with a lobster clasp through that top elastic, okay? And then this one, I did put the charms on, one charm on before I knotted it, and then the other one I hung off of the other charms. That's how I did that. So I can go back and add things later if I want to, okay? So now my notebook closure is on. Now the last piece we need to do is the pen holder. Now the pen holder is pretty easy to do. What I did with the craft text is I just kind of, rounded it a little bit. And what you're going to want to do is you need to find your pen, and then you also need to kind of gauge like how thick your pen holder needs to be. Okay, so if you're going to use a little pen, just figure out which pen you want. This one's not going to work too awful good because it has that kind of ridge there. It's going to bother me. So here's another pen that I can use, and I like that. So I'm just kind of seeing where this end needs to glue to this end. Okay, so I'm just kind of gauging that, and then I want to gauge where I need to put it on my notebook. Okay, and I want it on the back page, or the back cover I should say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of glue right here so I can glue that piece down. And you can use, you can do this is the craft text. I mean, you can obviously do this out of leather, you can do it out of the cardstock, whatever you want to do, right? Okay, so then once that's glued down, then these little tabs here, we're gonna have to give that just a minute, but you can see that they kind of have a little bit of give so that your pen loop can kind of give a little bit, and that's not gonna work as fast as I was hoping. But you guys get the idea, right? So I'm gonna hold that down for just a second. I'm gonna let that dry, but that's your pen loop. And then when you glue this down, you're gonna wanna glue the two top squares right here and then here, but kind of leave that middle piece a little bit more free. So what I'm gonna do right now, while that glues down, is I'm going to clamp it and put it off to the side for just a second. Let's go ahead and add our notebooks, okay? So again, the notebooks are 3.5 by 5.5. And I'm just going to take this whole thing and I'm going to pop it through that first elastic, okay? When you make your notebooks, you noticed I round the corners here. That helps kind of get those secured in there as well, okay? Notebooks in. That's pretty much, that's it. So this notebook here just goes under that elastic. This notebook here under this elastic, and our last notebook will go under the final one, okay? So we have our notebooks, okay? Then we can add the insert pieces that we did. So let's grab those. And this is just like the leather wallet that I did, okay? So we have our little notebooks, so just go to the middle of your notebook and just pop those in. Okay, and this is the beauty of this. You can pop all kinds of stuff in here, and you can really fill this out, make it chunky, have fun with it. It's great. Okay, so we have that, and then this little guy here. So when I want to put this into a notebook, so let's go ahead, we'll just add it to the front one here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on the other side of that little file folder and put it in there so you can see, and then that will wrap around like this, and you'll have the folder on either side of your little file folder. Okay, you can take these tags, you can do the same thing, put a little seam binding on the other one, and these guys could go in the middle and be like that as well, okay? My idea was that these were gonna go into the little pockets like so. So I can add those, our second notebook here, and we'll put this guy in here. And then our third notebook. So I'm just alternating my little tags here. Okay, just like that. And then you have all these little cute little notebooks here. We have these little notebooks. So my thought was to just pop those into that pocket. There's one. Here's another. So you have those little snippet notebooks there. Little scrap busters, yeah. These little guys, you could put those in the file folder. Okay, let's put it in a different one so we can kind of even some things out. So I can put that maybe in here, like this one, and then let's put it in this one here. So we have our little baby notebooks in our little file folders, and then we have this guy here, and that'll have to go into one that, let's see, let's put it in this one. We could put it in the middle, under the file folder. So you have lots of options here, okay? Like so. So that's the additions that I wanted to kind of show you. And look how full this thing is. And then we put this guy around and it's really adorable, okay? So then last thing to do is to glue down our pen loop. Let's see, that worked. Perfect. So we got to remember to figure out exactly where you want this glued down. So I'm going to put my pen in my loop, okay? And we're going to glue it right to the edge. And I want my pen to be like right there. So it's going to glue right to the edge, okay? So I'm just going to, let's see, we're going to line that up. And pull that out. So we're going to go 2.5 inches down is where we're going to glue that to the edge. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over, and I glued this piece and this piece, and then a line right there. Okay, 2.5 inches down, 2.5, and we're going to pop that right there. Okay. And that is where, that's how you do your pen loop. That's pretty easy peasy. So that is the tutorial. I'm just gonna clamp that for just a second. Okay. The other thing that I think I want to do is I'm going to add these little pockets to the inside. I didn't do that to the leather journal, but I think I'm going to do that so I have like another little pocket. And it's easy. I'm just going to glue around the edges. And then lay that down. That's all I'm going to do. Like so. Okay. Craftex is really a fun product to use, but then again, you know, you can use cardstock. You don't have to use Craftex. This will just be a little bit more durable, but if you laminate, works out great too. Okay. Oh, and you know what I didn't show you? I will show you right now. While that dries, I'm going to show you something. So I did not show you the little holder guy, which now I've already knotted. So what I'm going to do is just make another one so I can show you. I'm going to get roughly the same length here. Okay, so this guy here, if we, let's see, thread our elastic through that and then tie our knot, then I can show you what this will do. We're gonna have to thread it through the book real quick first. So let's thread that through the middle holes. Okay. Okay, and then we'll tie our double knot. Oops, not that far down. Not that far down. Okay, one more. And then that will be kind of the guard around your notebook and help keep your papers and your pen extra secure and protected and whatnot. Okay, so we got our piece here. Okay, we've got our little thing here. Let's take those off, and that should stay. And then that will go around, that little piece goes around and goes over the edges like so, okay? Just over the edges of your notebook, okay? And then this your pen. There it is. Ta-da! Ta-da! We did it. We did it. So now I have 2 loops. But anyways, that's that. So I'm gonna find some charms and things, and then I'm gonna fill it, and I will be right back, and I will show you what it looks like all finished and ready to go. All right, I'm back. I kind of put the rest of the things in my notebook. I added some charms to the spine, and so again, I did put it through the elastic at the top. Now, this piece here is one of those hotel keys that you can find. This one came, I think, from Hobby Lobby, and I think you were supposed to use it with, oh, what's that stuff called? That resin, and decorate it. But what I ended up doing, because the back was actually very smooth, was I glued some paper to the back so you could see it through the keychain, and then I added some more pattern paper on the back and just cut around the edges just to decorate it. But that's what I ended up doing with that. And then this is one of my button dangles that I made, and actually had it on this pen, but I took it off the pen to put it on the spine because I liked it better that way. So did that. And then basically the outside is going to be plain. And then we have the closure here, and then opens up. And then we have our little pocket in here. So I have a couple of my little note cards here. And then we have our notebooks. So here's the pockets with the little notepads. I added one of the little note cards there. Here are some of those note pages. You can see, so you can just stick them underneath the elastic. And, you know, you can add as many pages as you want inside, or you can even add them around the outside because, you know, like, let me show you. Because the actual notebook pages are separate, you can go underneath here and add them here as well, okay? So you can really decorate. I went through my stash. I found some purple paper clips. So on the back of each of these covers, I put a paper clip in case I wanted to do something like that. But that's basically what I did. So here is that perforated piece, and then the little file folder, and then the little notepad there. I just think this is really cute. It totally matches all of the paper that I used in my planner. So now I have this cute little companion piece, and these little guys here, I mean, they're super, super adorable, and I thought that was really fun to put in there. You could put this in the middle here too if you wanted to. I mean, just so many options to play with in this, you know, notebook, really. So that's my little traveler's notebook using papers from my planner that I purchased from Recollections that match. They match my planner. So here you go. And using the craft text, and that's how I did it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching, and I will see you again soon with other tutorials and fun stuff. All right, stay crafty. Bye-bye.